All right, for this next part of the lesson, what I'm going to teach you how to do, or is what I'm going to try to explain to you so that you can understand, is how somebody who's analyzing this particular company, how they can look at it and be able to answer some important questions. And one of the most important questions that you can answer for this particular company is the quantity that they should produce. How much, given all this information, we've got information on their costs, we've got information on their price and their revenues. And so this is a unique situation, very unique situation. And given the circumstances here that this company is facing, they want to make the best of their situation. They want to make a decision, an economic decision, a microeconomic decision. And one of the most important microeconomic decisions that they can make is their quantity. How much should we produce? That is one of the biggest questions that a company has to decide. How much should we make? How much should we sell? The second most important decision that they have to make is what price should they charge? And so every company out there in the world, when they open their doors and start doing business, they have to decide how much are we going to make and what price should we charge. When people call us and say, how much is it to do this or how much is it to buy this? We have to have an answer for them. So the price decision and the quantity decision are two of the most important decisions that any business can make. And if you someday open your own business, you're going to have to decide what the price is going to be for what you're going to sell and how much of it you're going to produce. Now, I want to remind you that this is a business or a firm, right? And I want to remind you, going back several lessons, we're going to go back to several lessons and think about a couple things that we have said previously. The first one is, what is the goal of a company? What is the goal of a business? When we think about the circular flow diagram, right? We have households and we have firms. Households want to maximize their utility, right? What do businesses or firms want to maximize? They want to maximize their profit, right? That's their whole goal. The reason that a business exists is to earn a profit. And economically, they want to make the most profit that they can possibly make. So here's what the business is trying to determine. They're trying to determine the quantity that they should produce to make the most profit. And if you go all the way back to Unit 1, you don't have to go all the way back, but I want to remind you of something that we learned in Unit 1, that what we learned is that the ideal profit maximizing quantity is always the quantity where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. And so what I want to do now is, looking at these graphs, I want to introduce to you another job of the marginal revenue curve and the marginal cost curve. Together, these two curves determine the quantity that is to be produced by that business, what we call the profit maximizing quantity. And so, right here, these two curves, see if I can get a color. I don't have any colors that we haven't used yet. All right, let me go ahead and use this one right here, green. These two curves together are going to determine the profit max quantity, profit maximizing quantity, which sometimes we denote as I'm going to call it Q sub profit or profit max, Q sub profit max. Okay, so this is the ideal quantity that if this company produces that quantity, they will make the most profit that they can possibly make. Now, how are we going to determine where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost? Well, graphically, the way that you determine where two values are equal is you look for where they intersect. Where do they cross over? So here's the marginal revenue curve, and here's the marginal cost curve. And so what we're looking for is a quantity where both of those curves cross over, because they will both be equal. And so we can see right here, do you see this intersection right here? That is the intersection where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. And so when you're analyzing one of these market structure graphs, if you're trying to determine the profit maximizing quantity, here's what you're going to do. You're going to use your eyes, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. Then vertically, you're going to go all the way down to the axis, and you're going to identify that particular quantity. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get here, and I'm going to go to this intersection here, and I'm going to put a little dotted line down here. We're going all the way down here, and then we're going to count over. This is 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. And so here's what I'm telling you, is that for this particular company in this situation, the quantity that they should produce to maximize their profit is 700 units. If they produce less than 700 units, then their marginal cost is less than their marginal revenue, and this little triangle here represents money they could be earning. It's profit that they could be earning, and they're not earning, so they should produce more. But if we go past 700 units, we can see that the marginal cost is larger than the marginal revenue, meaning it costs more to produce those additional units than the revenue they will earn. So the cost is going to be higher than the revenue, so they're going to be losing additional money if they produce more than 700. And therefore, they should not produce more than 700. So the ideal quantity is 700. So the first thing I wanted to teach you in this segment is how to identify the profit maximizing quantity that business should produce. So that's the first thing you should do. Once you have the profit maximizing quantity, so we're going to call this Q profit max, okay? Then the second thing you want to identify is the price that the company should charge in order to sell that profit maximizing quantity. And as we saw in the last segment of this lesson, the way that you find the price is you take your quantity 700 and you go all the way up to the demand curve. So we're gonna continue go vertically on this dotted line all the way up to the demand curve. There's the demand curve. And then we're going to go over to this axis and we're going to count up the price. So the price here is $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70, $80, $90. And so this company should charge a price of $90 and sell 700 units, okay? And then there's two more pieces of information that we want to get here. We want to identify the average total cost and the average variable cost at the profit maximizing quantity. And so just like we did, just like you just finished doing a bunch of examples of, you know how to identify those values at a particular quantity. We're going to go up from 700 up to this line, average variable cost, and you can see right there that this, put a little dashed line over, this is the average variable cost, okay, which is 10, 20, 30, 40. So the average variable cost here is $40. And now we just need the average total cost, which is this curve right here. So at 700, we're going to go up to the average total cost, and we're going to put a little dashed line over here. And you can see that the average total cost, ATC, is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. That's $70. Okay, and this is, I'm going to put AVC right there. And so now what we have done, AVC, is we have now identified the average total cost, the average variable cost, and the price at the profit maximizing quantity. Now let me review this one more time. So here's what you're going to do. If you want to identify all of these costs and quantities and prices for a particular company with a specific market structure graph, first, you're going to go to where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. Then you're going to go down, vertically down, and identify the quantity. Then you're going to identify, second, you're going to identify the price. You're going to bounce up here, and you're going to go up to the demand curve, and then go over and identify the dollar value there. That's the price. Third, you're going to go back to the quantity, and you're going to go up and identify the average variable cost. Then, fourth, you're going to go back to the profit maximizing quantity, and you're going to go up to the average total cost and come over. And then, of course, fifth, we can now identify the average fixed cost by subtracting average total cost minus average variable cost. And average total cost is 70, average variable cost is 40, therefore average fixed cost is 30. So average fixed cost equals $30 at a quantity of 700. And I think now basically you just need to do a few more examples so that you can do this on your own. All right, now here's another example that you probably remember doing just a few minutes ago. What I'd like you to do now with this particular example is I want you to do the same thing that we just did with the other set of graphs. Is I want you to identify the profit maximizing quantity. Then I want you to identify the price at the profit maximizing quantity. So the quantity that the company should be producing, the price that they should be charging. Then we also need to know what is the average total cost at that quantity, what is the average variable cost at that quantity, and what is the average fixed cost at that quantity. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and see what you can figure out. All right, so we know that the profit maximizing quantity is going to be the quantity where marginal revenue intersects with marginal cost, and that is right here. There's the point right there. Okay, and so we're going to go from there. We're going to go down here. We're going to identify that quantity. Well, this is 200. This is 250. That makes this 300. So 300 is the profit maximizing quantity for this particular business or this firm is 300 units. And what price should they be charging? Okay, so we'll go up here to the demand curve, and then we'll go over here, and we see that they should be charging a price of, well, let's figure it out. Here's 21, then 28, 35, 42, 49, 56. So they should be charging a price of $56. Then, at that profit maximizing quantity, the average variable cost, which is right here, move over here, is going to be, let's see here, 21, 28, 35, 42. So $42 is going to be the average variable cost. All right. And now, a couple more things. We're going to identify the average total cost. So we're going to take the profit maximizing quantity. Now look, this is an interesting situation. This one is different than the one that we just did. In this particular situation, we need to go above that. We need to extend this vertical dashed line above the demand curve because that's where the average total cost curve is. We have to go all the way up to the average total cost curve. Then when we come over here, we're going to see that the average total cost is from 56 up another 7 is 63. Okay, so that's the average total cost. And then, of course, to find the average fixed cost, we would subtract average variable cost from average total cost. So 63 minus 42, that is 21. And so average fixed cost is $21. Okay? All right, let's do just do maybe two more examples of these. All right, so here's another example. I want you to identify the profit maximizing quantity, identify the price at the profit maximizing quantity, identify the average variable cost, average total cost, and the average fixed cost at the profit maximizing quantity. Pause the video and go. All right, so we're looking for where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, where they intersect right here. And so that is, let's find the quantity there. Got 600, 800, 1,000, 12, 14, 16, that's 1,800. So the profit maximizing quantity, Q profit max, is going to be 1,800 units. Now identify the price at that. That's right here. We're going to come all the way over here. And that is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So the price that this company should charge is $35 to maximize their profit. Now we want to identify the average variable cost, which is above the demand curve. So we need to extend this a little bit farther. Looks like it goes up by about another $5. So let's bring this over here. And it looks to me like the average variable cost is $40 per unit. Let's identify the average total cost. So we're going to have to extend this quantity line up to the average variable cost or average total cost curve. We're going to bring it over. Whoops. It's not exactly a straight line. We'll come all the way over here. It looks like 2 units up from the average variable cost. So 40, 45, 50. So $50 is the average total cost. And then for the average fixed cost is simply going to be the difference between the average total cost and the average variable cost. So 50 minus 40 is $10. Okay? All right? We'll just do one more example. All right, here's our last example for this. So what I want you to do right now is pause the video, then see if you can figure out the profit maximizing quantity, the profit maximizing price, and also identify the average total cost, average variable cost, and average fixed cost at the profit maximizing quantity. All right, so hopefully you're getting good at this now. You went straight to where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, which is right here. And so we'll come down here, and we'll see that the quantity, profit max is right here. And that profit maximizing quantity is 30, 40, 50, and $60, or not $60, 60 units, okay? And so now we're going to go up here and identify the price. So we're going to go up this line, and we're going to go up here, and there is the demand curve. So we're going to come over from the demand curve, and this is the ideal price to maximize profit. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this company should charge a price of $10 to maximize their profit at a quantity of 60. Now we want to know the average variable cost. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's right there. So $5 is the average variable cost. Okay. Now we need the average total cost. So we're going to go from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Over here, $7 is the average total cost. And then, of course, the average fixed cost is going to be average total cost minus average variable cost. So 7 minus 5. So average fixed cost is equal to $2. Okay? And it seems like after a few examples, hopefully by now you should be really good at being able to identify these qualities that are going to help the business to make the best decision for their best situation. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to how we can understand a lot of the most important financial information about a business given the profit maximizing quantity and all of these financial numbers. We're going to blast back to Unit 1 where we learned all about the profit equation and all the costs and revenues and everything related to that.